Right, so Murder Jones isn't going to have a new episode for months, and I'm not paying for Amazon Prime Video, but I still want to watch some more animations. So I went looking for some smaller series that might have promise, and I stumbled across Our Spellbinding Lies, an independent animation that is adapted from a series of novels led by Red Balance. Of course, we're going to have our own helpful commentary as per usual, but I do know that a lot of my audience wants more serious reviews, so if you stick around till the end, I'll give my thoughts on the show seriously. But before we do start, I want to encourage you guys to go and watch the pilot for yourself first. Red has been nice enough to give me express permission to make this video, and I want to make sure that she gets the reward she deserves for all the work that she's put into this series. But this intro is long enough already, so let's just get into it.
As queen, I have cured the plague of sophistry.
We're 5 seconds in and I already need to look up what sophistry is.
I've made the universe a place of honest.
The metal design on this coat would make it incredibly uncomfortable to lean anywhere.
I've ruined the liars. Their hopes, their schemes.
While I'm a big fan of Japanese blood,
Asteroid.
where did the technology to do this come from?
It's a long story, but
You have nothing but time.
my daughter must be rescued from the rebels' clutches to face this horde of—
These two separate takes are cut too close together and result in a very jarring follow-through. An asteroid would be able to hold an atmosphere as if it were insanely large, but even then, there's no plant life on here to create oxygen to breathe.
Pretty sure I didn't sign up for this.
This pilot is voiced by the destroyer of my eyeballs, and as such I hope he dies horrifically.
You sign up to serve people who outrank you.
The placement of Heather's arm here makes it look like she took the rope off of him.
Hey, you finally caught him!
Yeah, I did.
Idiot guard somehow doesn't recognize the girlfriend of the crazy witch lady trying to kill them. Also, aren't you cold?
I'll take him to the dungeon.
Whole lot of love for the Queen's daughter here. These posters are terrible. There is a worrying lack of liquid inside of Heather's chest.
I can't. Then you can wreck them with your death lasers.
Always a fan of death lasers. The spell is written in red pencil for dramatic effect.
Celeste.
Convenient empty barrels are convenient. Heather's glasses disappear in this shot.
I'm gonna get you out.
Why doesn't Mommy care?
This is the first thing she has to say. Large amounts of magical power also comes with the ability to not blink despite welling up with tears.
Your mother is going to blast his dumb—
Heather manages to insert this key without looking. This jingle is incredibly left field compared to everything else so far.
Stop!
24 of these fools manage to walk up behind this B-Tech escape artist and the Dragonborn without them noticing. She starts nodding before the sentence is finished.
Now, I'll take the girl back.
You'll go through me first.
That's easy enough.
No, through me!
I'm gonna go further into why I don't like this character later, but for now, let's just move on.
We'll see! Run!
She goes to stab him, but the sound effect is a slashing motion.
The pilot!
You only just realize this now.
I know. There's gotta be something.
This animation is very obviously looped. Who, what, where, and why is teleportation? And that's the pilot of Our Spellbinding Lies. Before, difficult to get a pilot out there from scratch and without the funding of a proper studio, so the fact that they've managed to get this done at all is an achievement. Now for my proper review of the video. I would like to point out here that even though Red has given me permission to make this video, they have no control whatsoever over what I'm about to say. So let's start with the good parts. First up, I'm a big fan of the style of this show. Immediately, it lends itself very well to the dark fantasy genre. The characters are unique and recognizable a fair bit while watching this, and these characters would lend themselves very nicely to a D&D campaign. So I'm gonna steal them. I'm also a big fan of the tone of this show. This is the first mature animation that I've seen in a while that's actually willing to take itself seriously. It doesn't resort to crude humor or stupid gags to try and keep its audience entertained, and it's able to build a bed of tension for all the characters that kept me invested for the whole episode. The theme of sacrifice here is also played very well. Amber here truly believes that she's doing the right thing and is willing to risk upsetting or losing those close to her to keep others safe. As the villain of the show, she's very understandable instead of just being unapologetically evil. If you haven't, hell of a doesn't, maturity. This show is mature animation done properly, and it's something that I think's been missing from the scene for a while that I'm glad to finally see showing up again. But that being said, this show isn't perfect, not by a long shot, and I'd be a very poor critic if all I did was praise the show, so here are my main gripes with it. First up, as a newcomer to this franchise, I haven't read any of the novels. I'm confident that to people who have read the novels, everything here would make perfect sense, but for me there was a fair bit of confusion as to how the world works and what's actually going on in the wider world of the show. And from the comment section I can see that other people share this confusion. The pilot of a show is meant to introduce people to the world that you're creating, so it's almost always best to start at the beginning. This middle point start also undermines some of the emotional storytelling we get here. Amber's relationship with her daughter and sister is not explained to the audience at all, so this fit of rage at being compared with her sister is completely lost on the audience. Is that was in love with Heather at some point but is also a liar, so he is banished but secretly loves her and would die to protect her. Oh, and he breathes fire, I guess. This guy sounds like I'm reading a bad OC, and that mostly comes down to the fact that we've got no idea who he is. If the audience had time to understand this character and see why he is the way he is, then his death would have carried much more weight, which is why I think this guy is the weakest part of the pilot. My last point isn't really one that can be fixed, but during the end of the episode, mostly with tone and timing. But with such a small team working on this, that is obviously excusable, and it doesn't really detract from the show all that much because it's fairly well hidden. Overall, Our Spellbinding Lies definitely has potential to be a brilliant show. As long as they start in the beginning in the next episode and explain the characters and world properly, I think there is a case for this show being one of the better releases here on YouTube. I do want to say once again that you should go watch the pilot for yourself. It's only 10 minutes out of your day and it's well worth it. Thank you to Red for agreeing to let me do this and having the freedom to say what I want. I really appreciate it. But that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching and have a good one.